Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to explain what this week is going to look like. We are about to start reading the novel Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe, and this week we will be reading chapters 1 through 4 of our book. Chapters 1 through 4, it's pages 2 through 35. I'm pretty sure the packet says page 25, so that is a typo. I'm sorry about that. So we'll be reading chapters 1 through 4 in class. If you do not have your book with you, there is a PDF of the book posted on Schoology, and there's also an audio book that I posted on there. So if you prefer to listen as you read along, go ahead and do that. I think the narrator reads kind of slowly, so if you want to speed up the pace and you can still understand what's happening, go ahead and do that. So those are all options for you. And then I also want you to have your packet out with you so you can follow along and see what I'm talking about. We are going to be on page 10 of the packet working on lesson 2.2 as we read chapters 1 through 4. So I'm going to run through what the must-do assignments are, so explain a little bit about what we're going to be doing as we read. The first step that you're going to be taking notes on is the storytelling and culture chart on page 10 of the packet. So like we've talked about, Chinua Achebe incorporated African storytelling into his novel. And one of the ways that he does that is by using Igbo words throughout the story. And all of these words are going to be in italics in the text. So if you come across a word that's in italics, you know that that's an Igbo word. I put the first one on here, and ojene is a kind of gong or a musical instrument. And if you do not know, well, you won't know what these words mean, I assume. And so there's a glossary that actually tells us all of the definitions. So when you come across one of these words, flip to the back of the book, look at the glossary, it'll give you a short little definition. And I want you to keep track of some of these on this chart as you read. The second step is to find one idiom or proverb or folktale. So remember, these are the three literary devices that Chinua Achebe uses to incorporate the African storytelling elements. An idiom, that's like a cultural expression that means something other than the literal. In the US, we say it's raining cats and dogs. That's an example of an idiom. It's not actually raining cats and dogs, it just means it's pouring rain, right? So he is going to use a lot of Igbo African idioms. There's also going to be proverbs, which are like short sayings that teach us a lesson, a life lesson. They're wise little sayings. So there's also going to be a bunch of proverbs, and then folk tales are stories passed down, usually orally, that might have animal characters, and they might explain why something is the way that it is in our world. I'm going to point out a couple specific page numbers for you to look at. You only need to find one of either an idiom, a proverb, or a folk tale. You don't need to find one of all three. So that should be very easy for you to do because there's so many of them throughout the text. So you'll write the quote down of the idiom or the proverb or the folktale, the page number, and then explain a little bit why you think Achebe included that and what it might mean. What is its significance? The next thing you're going to do is find two environmental references. So the environment is super important to this novel because the Igbo people are subsistence farmers, and so they rely on the land, they rely on the crops that they grow to survive. So there's going to be a lot of references to the weather and how that impacts their farming. There's also a lot of descriptions of the compound that our main character lives in. So the main character, the protagonist, is named Okonkwo in this novel, and he lives in a large compound enclosed by a thick wall of red earth. His own hut or obi stood immediately behind the only gate in the red walls. So this is an example of an environmental reference because it's orienting us to the environment of our character. So you'll write down two environmental references, the page number, and try and explain the significance. Like, why is this reference to the weather or the environment important? How is it helping us understand the story better? The last thing for this first step is just to summarize the main idea of chapters 1 through 4. So this is for you to keep track of what's happening in this novel. I don't want you to write a ton, But just a couple main points of like, where is the main character in these chapters? What is he doing? Who is he with? Why is this happening? So this is, again, just to help you keep track of the plot as we read. And then 2.2 step 3 is in your packet. It's a must do, and it says pivotal passage prep. I'm going to talk about this step tomorrow in class. So we are going to go over this. The pivotal passage, that means we're going to look at a specific important passage in the chapters, and you'll be analyzing it to find different literary elements, such as like imagery, figurative language, tone, point of view, those types of things. This book is full of figurative language, like similes and metaphors and imagery that really brings the story to life. And we're going to be analyzing those literary elements in the text during the unit. This is prep for the summative for this unit. We are going to be doing like a pivotal passage analysis as our summative for Things Fall Apart. So each chapters that we read, we will be doing a practice pivotal passage analysis. I will talk more about that tomorrow, but I just wanted to point this out in your packet. And then finally, there is a should do that is some reading questions as you read. It starts on the bottom of page 12 in your packet. And it's just a really helpful set of questions to follow along. I was jotting down notes to these questions as I was reading the text, and it really helped me keep track of the main characters and the most important events that were taking place. So I would strongly encourage you to jot down some notes for these reading questions. It'll really help you follow along with our text. Okay, so chapters 1 through 4, we are going to meet our protagonist, Okonkwo. You are going to find out very quickly, is an interesting man. He has some anger issues. He's got a strong personality. He's not a very good husband or father. And so we're going to meet him right away and also meet his father, Unoka. And Okonkwo hates his dad. His biggest fear in life is ending up like his lazy father who didn't succeed at anything in life. So the first chapter will kind of orient us to him and how his father has impacted his life. Pages 7 and 8 are really good ones to look at for examples of proverbs, which you need for your notes. And then just something to look out for as we read. If you see the words "our elders say" or "elders teach us," that is a really good clue that it's going to be a proverb. Because in their village, the elders were really wise and taught them a lot of life lessons. So just keep an eye out for the phrase "elders say." In chapter 2, we'll learn more about how Okonkwo is fearless. He's kind of a warrior. He's been in multiple wars. And then we're also going to learn about the village and how the people are really scared of darkness, and they associate darkness with a time of really bad things happening. And we're going to see more of Okonkwo's anger and his violence. But we're also going to see that he is wealthy and successful. And in their society, you have to earn your titles. You do hard work in order to gain a higher status in society. So he is really successful, and he works really hard to gain a high status in his society, even though he is a pretty angry and mean person. Here we have a little family tree. This is also posted on Schoology, and I'm going to encourage you to look at this family tree as you start reading. There are going to be names that you're probably unfamiliar with, so it might be hard to keep track of who is who. Okonkwo is our protagonist, and he has 3 wives. So in their culture, it's normal for men to have multiple wives. That's a sign of being successful and wealthy. So he has 3 wives, and you'll see that he has some children to keep track of as well. And Zima is going to become his daughter is going to become important to the storyline. So use this resource on Schoology as you read. Chapters 3 through 4, again, I would encourage you to be taking notes on the reading questions as you go. In chapter 3, we'll see what is the role of the Oracle of the Hills, what is his father Unoka's fate, what did the wealthy villager Nakibi, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce a lot of these names as well. So what did this wealthy villager do? Page 20 is a good one to keep an eye out for an idiom, an example of an idiom. And then chapter 4, we'll learn more about Okonkwo's personality. We'll learn that he actually has kind of an adopted son or a boy that comes to live with his family. What is the week of peace? And then note the importance of the yam crop. Yams are regarded as the most important crop in their society. Finally, this is just a visual of the compound that Okonkwo lives in. So he has a hut here, and the Igbo word is obi for hut. And then each wife has their own hut as well. You'll see the yam barn, the yam field, they have some goats, and then it's all enclosed with this red clay wall. So that is a visual for what you're going to see in the chapters. All right, so you should start reading chapters 1 through 4 and have your packets out so you can take notes as you read.